Hello everyone, welcome to 60 Seconds to Code, where I show you how to code in 60 seconds or less. Today I'm going to proceed with part 2 of the previous video. In the previous video we went over the CSS, the HTML, JavaScript, and other artifacts that we created in order to create a very simple chat widget. That chat widget is all it was doing was if you presented it or asked or typed in the chat window that you wanted to hear a fact, it'll tell you a fact. But if you type joke in the chat window, it will respond with a joke. If you want, you can go back and rewatch that video. In part 2, which is today's video, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be hosting that simple chat widget. By the way, my apologies. That's my smoke alarm. I have to fix that. I'll probably take care of it soon. So today what we're going to be doing is hosting that simple chat widget in AWS. So let's get started. On the agenda today, we're going to be going over some definitions and technologies that we're going to be using. So which technologies we're going to be using, what they're used for, etc. I'm going to give you a quick architecture diagram, and finally we're going to go into the demo. Then before we go into the demo, today's demo is not going to be free. There is going to be some prices associated with it. I'm not going to discuss in too much in detail the cost and prices associated with it, but be warned, you have to do your due diligence to make sure that it's definitely not in the free tier. There will be a minimal cost attached, but please do your due diligence if you're going to follow along at the demo to make sure you're okay with the cost that comes with this. All right. On to the definitions. Today we're going to be using Route 53, CloudFront, S3, and AWS Certificate Manager. What are those? Route 53 is Amazon's domain naming service. That's all it is. DNS service for Amazon AWS. So if somebody says to you DNS for AWS, think Route 53. That's the name of the AWS's DNS service. CloudFront is a content distribution network, short CDN. And it allows for your content, whether it's CSS, HTML, JavaScript, or any other type of content, to be cached or distributed to multiple edge locations throughout the world. And basically what that allows you to do is allows you to reduce latency for your websites and for your workloads. So for example, if in our case, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be hosting CSS, HTML, JavaScript in our website, index.html, and other things that we discussed last time. The difficulty becomes that if that particular S3 endpoint or wherever you're hosting that site is in a particular data center at some point, location in the world, and it's not reasonably close to your end users, your end users might experience what is called latency. In order to reduce latency, because there need to be multiple hops between the end user and that one data center where you're hosting it. In order to reduce latency, what you can do is you can distribute your static content to what is called a content delivery network, and wherever the users are and whichever the edge location is closest to the user is where that CSS HTML is going to get hosted and delivered to the users. That's what CloudFront is. It's Amazon's content delivery network, and it's used for that purpose. If you feel like learning about a little bit more about CloudFront, feel free to do so. Amazon S3 stands for Simple Storage Service, and this is where we're actually going to be storing our source objects. Now, you must be thinking, hey, what's the purpose of CloudFront and S3? Can't I just use S3? And the answer is yes. You definitely can use just simple S3 service and enable static site hosting on your S3. But we are going to do it through CloudFront distribution, and what the difference is going to be is that in our case, we're not going to make the S3 bucket public, meaning that it will not be publicly accessible. There will be no static website hosting. So all the objects, whether it's the index.html, the CSS files, the associated JavaScript files, they're going to be in the associated S3 bucket. But the CloudFront distribution is the one that is going to be presenting / delivering that content to the users. So anytime you make an update to the S3 bucket, you need to make an update to the CloudFront distribution. Basically, CloudFront is going to possess a cache of the content that you store. For example, in this case, the static HTML file. CloudFront is going to have a cache of that file, and if you don't update the cache for CloudFront, the updated HTML file will not be presented to the users. Now, these are slightly advanced topics, but for the purposes of today, you should just be aware that we're going to store our source content in S3, but for the purposes of distributing, we're going to use CloudFront. Just that distinction should be sufficient. AWS Certificate Manager is a service that lets you provision and manage SSL certificates for transport layer security. So one of the things that we're going to do today is that we're going to use a Route 52 domain, and we're going to be reaching our website directly from the what is called the Apex record, which is going to be, in my case, cloudfront.de. That is the domain name, cloudfront.de. If you want to use a different domain name, the reason I chose the cloudfront.de domain name is because it was fairly cheap to purchase, so I purchased it. And we're going to be, on hosting our site, so anybody will be able to reach that site from the Apex record, which is just cloudfront.de, or from the www address, which is going to be www.codislife.de, or from using the HTTP, which is the standard protocol, or the HTTPS protocol. And that is why we're going to be using the AWS Certificate Manager, so that we can not only reach our website using HTTP, but using HTTPS as well. So all this configuration, the configuration of Route 53, the CloudFront, S3, ACM, we're going to be going over today. So here's a quick overview of the architecture of what we're going to be building. Our user is going to be not logging in this case, but going to be going to their browser, and they're going to type, in our case, the Route 53 domain name, which is going to be cloudfront.de. When they hit that cloudfront.de, they're either going to use the HTTP protocol or the HTTPS protocol. Based on that, the CloudFront distribution that is fronting the S3 bucket is going to present to them what is called the root document. In our case, index.html is going to be presented to the user. And if that that connection needs to be end-to-end secured because the user attempted to access with HTTPS instead of HTTP, the certificate that we're going to install via Certificate Manager is going to take care of that. On the other hand, the S3 bucket, in this case, that this CloudFront distribution is going to be fronting, that S3 bucket is going to contain all of our HTML files, all of our CSS files, and all of our JavaScript files. And the JavaScript files, if you remember from the last video, that's the one that's going to be making the calls to our backend API. And the API, in our case, is going to be the Jokes API or the Facts API. If you want, you can go back and take a look at that. So that's what we're going to be building today, and we're going to onto the demo. But just remember, the demo is not in the free tier. There's going to be a cost associated if you want to purchase a CloudFront, if you want to purchase a Route 52 domain, there's going to be a cost associated with it. There's going to be a cost associated for the CloudFront distribution. There's a smaller cost associated for S3 hosting and the ACM certificate that we're going to be provisioning, but there is a cost associated with it with today's demo. I'm not going to, I didn't have a chance to do a lot of digging into what each of those are, but I'm warned you, if you're going to follow along in the demo, there's going to be a cost, just not minimal, not a lot. There's going to be a nominal cost associated with it. So I've already purchased my Route 52 domain. That's the only step that I'm not going to be recording in the video today. The rest of the steps I'm going to be recording. So let's get to it. First, let me pull up my notes here so that there we go. Those are my notes. All right. Let's go to, if my computer cooperates, to our AWS Management Console. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to create our S3 bucket. And this S3 bucket is where we're going to be hosting our HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So let's go ahead and open up in Visual Studio Code the chat with AWS Lex. Chat with AWS Lex. Yeah, this is what we were talking about last time. Now, one thing I noticed last time I may have messed up. I just wanted to make you aware that I may have messed up on something. And that was that within the CSS and the JS folder, this is supposed to be the structure. The simplechat.js, the jQuery min, the bootstrap min, the bootstrap bundle, and the bootstrap bundle min.js. These 4 files are supposed to be in the JS folder. And within the CSS folder, bootstrap min.css and bootstrap min.css.map is supposed to be there. Just make sure those contents are there, because I think I messed up in the last video. I did not put all of these, but the associated items for these are you're going to file in node modules. And let's assume for argument's sake you're looking for Bootstrap. Go under Bootstrap, go under the distribution folder, and look for the CSS and all the associated CSS. So just make sure your CSS folder looks like this, and your JS folder, the JavaScript folder, looks like this and contains all of these files before you're ready to upload. So you can watch the previous video. I think I messed up on, I don't think I put in bootstrap.min.css.map, and I don't think I put in the bundle.min.js.map. That's or Bootstrap bundle. So you can find the associated CSS in the distribution folders in the node modules that we installed last time. That's just a quick primer about that. So let's go ahead, node modules, and collapse that. So now let's go ahead and create our S3 bucket. We're on our S3 console. We're going to go ahead and create our S3 bucket. We're going to call it Lex sample chat. I'm using zeros instead of dashes. So Lex sample chat face all 11-11-21. That is the date today. And because S3 bucket names need to be globally unique, this name should be globally unique. I don't think there is another first of all creating a Lex sample chat video today, so it should be okay. I'm going to use the AWS region, and all the rest of these you're going to leave as default. The only thing that I would recommend you do is you just put in an owner tag, and that's usually pretty much the only tag, at least in my personal account. If I'm working with somebody else, I usually don't give people access to my personal account, but I at least like to put the owner tag that if somebody else comes in, or if I'm doing a demo and somebody wants to create some resources in my personal account, at the very least the owner tag is there so that I can differentiate what I created and what somebody else created. But I typically don't do that, though. I don't give other people access to my personal account. There is my owner tag, and I'm going to go ahead and create the bucket. Now that the bucket is created, what we now need to do is we need to create a CloudFront distribution. But before we do that, let's go ahead and find our S3 bucket. Let's get rid of all these extras here, and let's look for our Lex sample chat 11-11-21 bucket. Now, this is the bucket where our static content is going to be hosted. Now, I'm going to find my static content here by right-clicking and going to go reveal in File Explorer. And let's go ahead and find our stuff. In our case, the folders that we're interested in is the CSS, the fonts, the IMG, the JS, and the only other file that we're interested in is in the index.js. So I'm going to go ahead and hold Control and select index, select JS, images, fonts, and CSS. And let's go ahead and put it in a smaller window. And let's go back to my console and drag these onto here so that they get uploaded. It's now going to say, hey, you're about to upload the following items onto your S3 bucket. I'm going to say, yes, go ahead, please upload. And it'll take a second. This is, whoa, that's not a lot. That's pretty fast, actually. Because I'm not working from my home network. My home network is usually a lot faster than this. The transfer rate right now is a measly, 60, 70 kilobytes per second. I know uploading this video is going to be a nightmare because I'm actually working from a friend's house. So there it is. Those are my S3 bucket files, and now my S3 bucket is ready. So let's take a look at the S3 bucket. As you can see, it has the JavaScript folder, the index.html, the image, the font, the CSS, everything that we need in order to host this website's content. So that is part one. We have created our S3 bucket and we have uploaded the code. Now what we need to do is we need to create a CloudFront distribution. That CloudFront distribution is what is going to be, not CloudFormation, CloudFront. That CloudFront distribution is the one that is going to be fronting this S3 bucket that we just created. And the default root object is the one that basically anybody who visits that domain name is going to be, this CloudFront distribution is going to be representing. So let's go ahead and create a CloudFront distribution. The origin in our case is going to be the Lex bucket that we just created. The Lex sample chat faceall 1121 dot s3.aws.com. This is the S3 bucket that this CloudFront is going to be fronting. This origin is what this CloudFront distribution is going to be fronting. If you feel like finding out what other types of origins CloudFront is able to front for you, or CloudFront is able to distribute for you, you can read the documentation if you like. In our case, we're not going to be using any origin path or anything appending to the original requests originating from it. So we're just going to call it enter the name of this origin, Lex simple chat, blah, blah, blah. We're good there. Now, in our case, we have not configured this bucket to allow public S3 access. Remember, we are not using S3 static hosting to distribute this website. We're actually going to be using CloudFront to distribute this website. So in our case, the bucket that we just created is actually a private bucket. So if it's a private bucket, then CloudFront doesn't have access to any of the HTML files, JavaScript files. It has no access to that source material that we just uploaded. So what we need to do is we need to use an origin access identity, OAI, to be able to access that bucket. So let's go ahead and select, actually, you know what? Let's go ahead and create a new origin access identity. And we're just going to call it access identity for Lex sample chat faceall, blah, blah, blah. Go ahead, create that. And then we're going to say, yes, please update the bucket policy. Now, what you can do is you can create the CloudFront distribution with an origin access identity. But if you select this as no, I will update the bucket policy later, what you have to do is you have to go back to the bucket, go back to update the bucket policy, and allow this origin access identity, in this case, the identity of this CloudFront distribution origin, to be able to access that bucket. In my case, I'm feeling a little bit lazy. I'm just going to say, yes, go ahead and update the bucket policy for me. Now, we're not going to be adding any custom headers. We're not adding any origin shield. The default behavior is going to be object compression. Yes, that's fine. We're going to be using both HTTP and HTTPS for this distribution, so that's good. Request viewer access is not necessary. Origin cache policy and request policy, we're going to leave that as default. And response headers, no associated functions. If you feel like what the CloudFront view requests and how you can associate different Lambda functions or Lambda edge functions to CloudFront distribution, you can read the CloudFront documentation. In our case, we are going to not use all edge locations because CloudFront is available in, there are three major locations or CloudFront distribution types that you can select. They have different pricing tiers. The most expensive one is the use all edge location, which is the best performance. But in our case, or at least the scenario that I'm generating in my head right now, is that all of our customers are actually in North America and Europe. We don't care about Middle East, Africa, Asia, or anybody, but basically all our customers are here anyway. So that's where those are the only edge locations this CloudFront distribution is going to be distributed to. So that does not mean, by the way, that other folks and the rest of the world won't be able to access my CloudFront distribution. No, that's not what it means. It's just that they will experience a slight bit of latency because the closest location where the content is hosted is actually in North America or Europe. Okay, we are not going to use web application firewall in our case. So this custom SSL certificate is going to come into play. In just a second. We're going to leave this as optional for now. We're going to attach a custom SSL certificate to this CloudFront distribution in just a second. The HTTP version is HTTP 2, and we're good there. The only thing that we have to make sure that we specify is that index.html is the default root object that is going to be presented. So whenever somebody hits codeslife.de, in this case that's the Route 53 domain name, which of the objects do you want it to present by default? So we're just going to say present index.html by default and go ahead and create this distribution. Now, what this is doing at the moment is creating a CloudFront distribution and all the associated items that are in that S3 bucket, whether it's the the CSS, HTML, JavaScript, all those objects that we just uploaded to our S3 bucket. Those are going to be deployed to the edge locations of CloudFront. So anybody wants to go to the CloudFront distribution and view those items, they'll be able to. That's what CloudFront is doing right now. The CloudFront takes a little bit of time, so let's go ahead and let it do its thing. In the meantime, what we're going to do is we're going to create an ACM certificate so that we will be able to protect both our the Apex domain record as well as the www domain record. Or sorry, not the Apex domain and the Apex entry point of the domain and the www entry point of the domain. And we're going to use a single SCM certificate for that. So what I'm going to do is go to Certificate Manager, and let's go ahead and request a new certificate. And we're going to request a publish certificate. Click Next. And we're going to say the fully qualified domain name is codeislife.de. Okay, and we're going to do another, and we're just going to say, where is my asterisk key? I can't seem to be able to see my desk. There it is. Asterisk.codeislife.de. Okay, what are they doing? What is this doing is that whether somebody comes to this domain through the Apex record, which is codeislife.de, or whether somebody comes in through any subdomain, which is either www.codeislife.de or marketing.codeislife.de or accounting.codeislife.de or xyz.codeislife.de, etc.codeislife.de. This distribution or this ACM certificate is what we want to protect. That's why we're introducing this asterisk here. So not only will we be able to protect the Apex record, or the Apex of the zone, but also any subdomains as well. So we're done, and the way we're going to validate it is through DNS validation. And again, we're going to add a key owner is faisal.akhtar. I think I forgot to add tags to my CloudFront distribution. Don't do that. Go ahead, add your tags to your CloudFront distribution. We're going to always do that later. All right. Let's go ahead and request this SCM certificate. All right, let's successfully requested the certificate. Well, the request, if I did successfully request it, it should be here. There it is. There is my certificate, and there is my certificate ID. Now, what I need to do is I need to make sure that just because I have requested the certificate, that does not mean I own this codeislife.de Route 53 domain. Right? That doesn't necessarily mean that. The reason it doesn't necessarily mean that is, what if I go to google.com and like, hi, I'd like to use a certificate to protect google.com. Sure, I can issue you the certificate, but verify that you own google.com. In this case, I definitely do own codeislife.de. So let's go ahead, and the way that you add or the way that you verify that you own codeislife.de is we're going to duplicate this tab. Go to Route 53. Route 53. And find codeislife.de hosted zone. Now, in our case, I have two, or in my case, I have two hosted zones. Now, if you would like to host your own hosted zone in Route 53, you're going to have to purchase. I've already purchased. That's the only part of the video that I'm not going to record today. But all you really have to do, if you feel like purchasing a domain, you can just go to domains and go click on, I think it was somewhere here. Is it domains? Let's go register domains, and let's see if we can. I'll go quickly. Yeah, so you can just click on register domain and find sample. Sanocle. Sample fun 123.com. Let's check if that one is available, and it should be available. And that's available. I can add it for the price of $12 for 1 year. That this is how you would do it. Once you purchase that domain and it's verified that you have that domain, then that domain will become available as a hosted zone in Route 53. So currently I have two hosted zones. The one that I'm interested in is codeislife.de. There it is. And this is the Route 53 domain. Now let's go ahead and, in order to verify that this SCM certificate can protect this domain, I need to add this CNAME record. Now, in my case, the reason the both CNAME records are identical is because I want to protect the apex as well as any subdomains using the exact same SCM certificate. So that's why the values of both of these are identical. So what I need to add to my Route 53 domain is what's called a canonical name record, or CNAME record. And this is the canonical name of that record. So let's go ahead, go to hosted zone, create a record. And in our case, this is going to be for Code is Life. And where is the CNAME record? Go ahead. Value. Sorry, not value. It's not working. So, okay, so there was a copying problem. So it's supposed to be codeislife.de, right? I copied that from there. But notice it, if I posted it and if I pasted it directly, the problem is it also copied the .codeislife.de, etc. So all I really truly need is this piece right here. Okay, and the value for this one that I need to specify is this piece right here. Copy that onto the clipboard. Control V that. And create record. And there is our record, canonical name, and its value. Let's go ahead and check on the certificate side if that certificate becomes valid. It's saying pending validation, so you know what? Let's go ahead. The DNS takes a short while to come along, so you know what? Let's leave that there. Let's see how CloudFront is doing, shall we? So let's go to CloudFront. Actually, let's duplicate. CloudFront. Find the CloudFront domain. Or distribution, not domain. My apologies. And look, you know what? I didn't even notice what the status of it was. It's enabled and oh, never mind. It's still deploying, or is it still deploying? I am not sure. Let's find out if it's deployed or deploying by going to this domain name. So I'm gonna put it in incognito mode because I know I was accessing it. I don't want my browser's cache to be dealing with it. The request could not be satisfied. Bad request. Connect the server for website at this time. There might be too much traffic. Blah blah blah. Okay, let's go ahead and see what's going on. And origin is S3. Okay, so it looks like it's still deploying. The last modified, basically the CloudFront distribution is still deploying. So at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause the video and go get a drink of water while not only the SCM updates, while also this CloudFront gets done deploying. So see you in a bit. All right, welcome back, everyone. Looks like the CloudFront distribution deployed. This took a very long time, actually. It almost took longer than an hour. I don't know why CloudFront distribution was that much, because the other night I checked it, it roughly took 2.5 minutes to do the deployment. But I guess they're having some kind of load issues on their servers. I'm not familiar. I don't know. But not only is the CloudFront distribution available, meaning enabled and deployed, let's go ahead and go to that CloudFront distribution in an incognito window and take a look. And ta-da! That domain, that little chat widget that we developed and we talked about last time is now coming up. So let's go ahead, give it ask for a fact. And it comes back, and let's go ask for a joke. And the joke comes back. Never takes its run from electrons. They're always negative. Makes sense. Excellent. So let's close this one and this one. And now we're back. Now, the other thing we have to verify is that after we added these records, this record to our hosted domain, the CloudFront or cloudcodeislife.de, Route 53 domain, we got to make sure that our certificate is issued and enabled and available. And it looks like it is. It is issued, and because in that time that it took the CloudFront distribution to come online, the DNS records propagated, and this certificate was able to verify that it was issued and verified and now available. Therefore, let's go ahead and try to see if we can't go to the CloudFront distribution. And what is the CloudFront distribution? CloudFront distribution domain name has been copied onto my clipboard, and go to it using HTTP and HTTPS. Well, I think HTTP naked won't work. Let's try if HTTP naked works. HTTP naked works, and HTTPS:// also works. Yay! So we're good on that. Our certificate has been verified, certificate created, everything is good. Now that we have uploaded everything, we now need to update the cloud. We already updated the CloudFront distribution to include the codeslife.net and the alternate CNAME to access this distribution. So let's go ahead and take a look, make sure that's the case. I think I did that, didn't I? Origins is that, and general. Yeah, I definitely did that. That's no WAF. Edit, come on. North America only, and items. Now where do I update that setting? Origins, behaviors. Not create behaviors. Hang on. This was the behavior we gotta check. And edit this one. The origin. Yeah. Well, either way, I'm pretty sure at the start of it, because it's been almost an hour since I did this, I verified it. I don't remember off the top of my head where to go to verify that. Might be under some other or at least I'm not currently able to figure out, but I'm pretty sure I did my configuration correctly. By the way, this is why we're going to do our next video. We're going to automate all this. That way we don't have to do that much work in console. Console, especially if you're trying to do configurations manually like this, is error prone, as you're seeing. So we are going to automate this using Terraform, but that's a video for a later day, isn't it? Let's go ahead and take a look at create an A record, Apex record for the CloudFront distribution. Okay, that's our next job. For our next job, what we have to do is we have to go into our Route 53 domain, and we have to create an A record for an alias. And anytime somebody comes to this, we would like them to go to another record. No, this is the alias we would like them to redirect. Oh, come on, not HTTPS. Get rid of that. Whoops, didn't mean to do that. There we go. Choose endpoint write traffic to alias. Alias to CloudFront distribution makes sense. And hang on a second. My CloudFront distribution, has it been that long that when I attempt to create a record, we're going to go an alias and a record. What did I do? Expand, make it an alias, choose endpoint, alias to a CloudFront distribution, but for some reason my CloudFront distribution is not showing up. Why is the CloudFront distribution not showing up? It's in the US Northern Virginia region. Route traffic to, you know what, let's go ahead and create our CNAME first, maybe. I'm messing up on my Apex record of the cloud. So yeah, so I should be able to point the Apex record to an alias here, and alias to CloudFront distribution alias. Huh? Where did I mess up? I thought I. So you gotta. Take a look at my notes here. So I have to create the CNAME record for the www on the CloudFront domain. So let's go ahead and do that first. Let's CNAME www.cloudfront .codislife.de. This should go to let's CNAME, and what the heck's going on? I am really struggling today. Create record www.codislife.de should go to a CNAME. Here we go, and the CNAME is going to be the value of the CloudFront distribution. There it is. I'm going to create this record, and we're going to create another record in which the naked one is also going to be toward that alias to a CloudFront distribution. For some reason, can't. Well, there it is. I was able to do it. So I have both my www.codislife.de pointing to that CloudFront distribution, and my naked Apex record, which is codislife.de, pointing to that. So now I should be able to, regardless of whether I use HTTP or HTTPS, let's give the DNS a little bit of time to propagate. But let's go ahead. You know what? Let's go ahead and test it out right now anyway. See if this is going to work, because DNS takes a little bit of time to propagate. So let's try codislife instead of .net.de. Yeah. Okay, back to safety. What the heck's going on? I think the CloudFront distribution is deploying, or something else is going on. Let's go back to CloudFront, see what the heck's going on today. Okay, it's deployed. Go back to CloudFront. Go to incognito. And obviously the DNS name has not propagated, so going through so I'm able to get to it through the CloudFront domain name, but it will take a little bit of time for the DNS records to propagate through Route 53 and through the rest of the servers throughout the world. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the video, come back when that one's done propagating. Be right back. My fault. My records are wrong. Now, the reason my records are wrong is because I never specified the alternate domain names with which this distribution is going to be accessed, right? That we need to all specify those alternate C names. So what we have to do, and that's right, I never did that. And the reason I couldn't find those records is because I didn't do that. So go ahead, add those items. First, codislife.de, and we're going to add another item, www.codislife.de, and save those changes. You must attach a trusted certificate that validates you. I thought I already attached the trusted certificate. No. We did not. This is the trusted certificate. Yeah. So this is where I messed up. This is one of my notes that I did not, or I forgot to do. We keyed the certificate, we verified that the certificate, etc., but we forgot to add the alternate domain names in the CloudFront distribution. This is the step I messed up on. So what I'm going to do is specify the SSL certificate for this. And now I have everything I need, or should have everything I need. And there we have it. CloudFront is now going to deploy, and I'm going to pause again until this CloudFront distribution gets done deploying and the DNS is done propagating. And we'll come back and we'll try to access all over again. Be right back. All right, welcome back. It should be done propagating by now, so let's go ahead and check it out. Let's go to an incognito window, go to codeislife.de, not .net. Enter. Voila! It's there. So we're able to get to it through the HTTPS. Let's try raw HTTP. Not secure. We're still able to get to it. Let's try https://codeislife.de. That works. Let's try http://www.codeislife.de. That works. And let's try https://www.codeislife.de. That works as well. Everything is coming up. Woohoo! We are cooking with gas. So that is what we built today. I'm going to go ahead and do the cleanup now. We were able to build an architecture in which we are able to log into the Route 53 domain fronted by a CloudFront distribution. As we were able to upload the code to the S3 bucket, and using the Certificate Manager, we were able to secure our website. Next time, I'm going to automate all of this whole thing. Obviously, I made a mistake. Now, the reason it's actually a good thing that I made a mistake, and I made a mistake in this video, is that it's better for you to automate your infrastructure and architecture deployments using infrastructure as code. And next time, we will talk about how to do that using Terraform. Terraform and what it's all about. We will actually do a deployment of this exact architecture in Terraform. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and do our destructions. So first, let's attempt to destroy, and because that's going to take a while, let's go ahead and disable our CloudFront distribution. By the way, in order for you to be able to delete a CloudFront distribution, you have to disable it first. So I'm going to disable the CloudFront distribution and let it disable. And basically what the deploying means that it's now pulling all the cached items that were in those edge locations that I specified. It's pulling them out of it. And once those are pulled out, then I will be able to delete this CloudFront distribution. Let's go ahead and delete the records that I created for the three records that I created. The one record for the Apex, for codeislife.de, the other for www, and the third one for verifying that SCM certificate. So 1, 2, and 3. Maybe I can delete all three records at the same time. Yeah, those are the three records I created. Let's go ahead and delete and delete. We're good. Those records have been deleted. Let's go to Certificate Manager, and actually I don't think I'll be able to delete the certificate until this CloudFront distribution is done deploying, because this certificate is going to be in use. You know what? Let's go ahead and try it. Go ahead and try to delete the certificate. Yeah, it's it's actually it's actually in use. So give it a minute while this CloudFront distribution is done. In the meantime, let's go ahead, go back to S3 and delete the bucket that I just created. So go to S3. Ta-da-da-da-da-da. Example chat. This is the one that I just created. Let's go ahead and delete. Must be empty. Oh yeah, so you gotta empty the bucket out. So I check the bucket, click the empty button, and it's going to say permanently delete. Permanently delete. PERMAN Permanently. What the heck is going on? Permanentlydete. There we go. Empty the bucket. There is no more items in this bucket. Going to exit out, and now we should be able to delete this bucket, this Lex sample chat face all bucket. Let's go ahead and put the name of that bucket into the confirmation prompt, letting it know that yes, I'm okay with deleting this bucket. All right, the bucket got deleted. Let's go ahead and go back to check on the CloudFront distribution, see if it's done deploying. It is. The last modified date is now a date, so I'm going to go ahead and delete this CloudFront distribution. And the CloudFront distribution has gone away. And let's go back to the Certificate Manager and delete our trusty certificate. Oh, for some reason that association is still there. Let's go ahead and refresh this guy. And should be able to delete the certificate now. And I say delete. Delete. And there you go. Now if I go to cloudcodeslife.de, everything, all the resources that I created, everything that I did today, including configuration to Route 53, etc., everything is destroyed. So there you have it, folks. Next time, what I will do is I will create this entire architecture in Terraform. So look out for that. That's going to be part 3 of this video. After that, now this video, the video series that I was trying to do here kind of has taken a turn of its own. I was gonna plan on integrating Lex in it. So for the next one, I'm definitely gonna do the Terraform deployment of this architecture first. But then how do you integrate Lex and the Lex JavaScript SDK into the web artifacts that you see here, and how that architecture is going to work? We will build on that in the following videos. Or maybe I will do that in another series of videos. I don't know yet. Best of luck to you. Thanks for watching. And until next time, I will see you guys later.